What's going on, Spurs fans, and welcome to the final Hotspur live stream of the 2025-2026 season. And God damn it, it is a massive game today. Today is the biggest match in Spurs history, the biggest one since 1994 when Spurs had to go to Oldham Athletic to save their Premier League lives. This is the biggest match since 1977, the last time Spurs were dropped to the second division. Listen, this match is absolutely pivotal. It is absolutely monumental. If we win, if we draw, our Premier League lives are saved. But if we lose and West Ham takes care of their business, the death of this club cannot be understated, as we will drop down. And at that stage, we have no idea exactly how this club will look this point moving forward. The last time we saw another club of this magnitude drop down because of mismanagement was Sunderland. And of course, they spent 8-9 years in the wilderness before their Premier League lives were reborn. And the last thing I want for this club, and I'm not speaking with hyperbole, the last thing this club needs is in 5 to 10 years we get some stupid Netflix documentary talking about the demise of this wonderful football club. And so really, at the end of the day, it is about us, the fans. It is about us, the fans. Yes, we have everything. We have every right to point fingers. There is enough blame to go around today. There is no doubt about it. But for this one match, this 90 minutes, it is about us, the fans, being able to put the swords down for 90 minutes and back these players and back Roberto De Zerbi, the one guy who was able to come here and put confidence and breathe new life into this football club for 90 minutes. It is all about us. Nothing to do with, the narrative that is coming from the English press about Tottenham needing to go down. It is not about the debacle of Christian Romero and leaving this club, before the biggest match in this club's history. All of that gets pushed to the side for this 90 minutes, and it is all about the fans today. What are we going to do to make sure this club stays up? What are you going to do? I can tell you for the next 90 minutes, I am going to support this club with everything that I have, without a doubt. Are you guys going to do the same? Before we get into it, please do me a favor and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and also hit the notification bell and show the channel some love and support. We are close to 500. I would like to get there before the World Cup this summer. And of course, I would appreciate it if you do that. If you show me and the channel some love. I would absolutely love it. We have Jaden plays Roblox. He says, "I'm scared. This is it. This is the match. We have to win." Understand. Up the Spurs. We fight to the end. Come on, you Spurs. I love it, Jaden. And by the way, I'm not nervous at all. I'm confident. I slept well last night. Without a doubt, I slept unbelievable last night because I have all the confidence in the world. Because I believe in this football club. I believe that we will win. I know it sounds funny, but it is. Because I heard what David Moyes says. And while Everton was talking, we were preparing. I look at what Everton is bringing to the table today, and I look at their last 6. No wins, 3 losses, 3 draws. They are stumbling to the line. I look at the form that we're coming in, and yes, we don't necessarily have the quality. We're kind of in the same boat as Everton. But we have the fight and we have the determination to get this one over the line. So let's go ahead and get into today's starting 11s, and we will start with Tottenham Hotspur. And of course, they're going to be lining up in the 4-2-3-1 that Roberto De Zerbi likes to likes to deploy. And in net will be Tony Kinski. And of course, Tony Kinski, there was no doubt in my mind. I know that Vicario was available for pick today, but that being said, Antonin Kinski has been the hot hand. Antonin Kinski has deserved the right to finish out the season. And say what you will about Tony, he has been one of the biggest reasons why Spurs have gotten to the point where they're 2 points up coming into the final day. The back four, we'll see Jed Spence on the right, playing in that. In last week, of course, Liam Delap should have been sent off for breaking the jaw of Jed Spence. But, the fighter that he is, he will be in today's lineup with, I think he's wearing one of those, protective face masks, but he will be in the lineup today. On the left-handed side, it will be Destiny Udogie. And, of course, Udogie, you know how much I love Destiny Udogie. This is a big Udogie channel. This is going to have to be one of those games where even Udogie has to put down a marker and show everybody exactly why the promise is, why he has that upside, and why everybody likes his upside, and deliver on the promise of why he came in here to begin with in the first place. The center back pairing, Kevin Danso and Mickey Van de Ven. And of course, Van de Ven is wearing the captain's armband today. And if there was any need, if there was any moment for Mickey Van de Ven to step up and be that guy, to be that leader, today is going to be it. The midfield double pivot, we'll see João Palhinha playing in that holding midfield role. And of course, we have Rodrigo Betancourt, who will kind of be in that box to box, that midfield link. The midfield, the attacking three across, we'll see Matisse Tell on the left and Pedro Porro on the right. And I actually like this because one of the things that we have not seen with Randall Kolo Muani is the fact that, quite frankly, he's a terrible right-sided winger. You're talking about a guy who's an out-and-out target striker, and he has not been able to fulfill the needs of what Roberto De Zerbi needs from that right-sided midfield attacking forward. And so Pedro Porro, who is an attacking right wing back, will push up a little bit forward. I like it because we're going to need service. We're going to need somebody that can create space and play balls in. We're going to need somebody that can attack the box as well, too. And Pedro Porro can at least do that. And with Spence covering his backside, I have a feeling that, it's not going to be an issue. And Dye is not going to be a problem. Underneath will be Conor Gallagher. And, of course, Conor Gallagher has essentially been that number 10 since Roberto De Zerbi has come in. And it's changed his fortunes around here in the second half of the season. And he's been a completely different player to what we saw under Thomas Frank. And, of course, what's his ass that took over for 8 games? I'm Igor Tudor. I'm even forgetting his name now. And, of course, Richarlison will be up top. And, of course, Richarlison going against his former team. This is the type of game that you would like to see Richarlison lay down a marker and put a couple goals in himself. This would be an absolutely monumental type of game if the Richie that we all know and love shows up today in a big way. And on the bench today for Tottenham Hotspur will be Vicario as the backup goalkeeper. We have Radu Dragusin and Yves Basuma. We have James Maddison, who I actually kind of wanted to start today because, again, big games call for big players. And even though James Maddison can't go a full 90, even if he only goes a full 60, even if he can go 60, we need to start as quickly as we possibly can. And James Maddison can provide that creative outlet. But De Zerbi will keep him on the bench. We have Archie Gray. We have Lucas Bergvall. We have, that engine in Lucas Bergvall, where if we need him, we have him. We have Dom Solanke, who is going to be fit today, who will be coming off the bench. And again, if there was ever a moment for Dom Solanke to solidify himself in Spurs lore, today is that day. We have Papsar and we have Randall Kolo Muani, who I'm sure most Spurs fans would just rather not see. But I will say this about Randall Kolo Muani. I will back him because he is wearing my shirt. And if he comes good today, fantastic. But after today, that's all she wrote. Let's take a look at Everton. And David Moyes will also be playing in a 4-2-3-1. And in net will be the strip club king, Jordan Pickford. And of course, Pickford, that was absolutely kind of funny. But nevertheless, he will be in net today. The back four, we'll see O'Brien on the right, Mikolenko off the left, and a center back pairing of Tarkowski and King. And of course, Tarkowski will be wearing the captain's armband for Everton. The midfield double pivot will be Garner and Eric Bunham. And then you have the midfield three of Rule and Endai off the left. And then Keenan Dewsbury Hall will be playing underneath, and up top will be Barry. Again, I like our chances against their attacking for not a lot of quality for Everton outside of Endai. Again, not exactly the type of attacking threats that are going to put the fear of God into our defenders. On the bench for Everton will be Mark Travers is the backup keeper. One defender for David Moyes, which would be Adam Osnu. Three midfielders will be Charlie Alcaraz, Harrison Armstrong, and Seamus Coleman. And of course, this will be Seamus's final game for the Toffees. And then they have four attackers with Beto, Dwight McNeil, Tyler Dibbling, which rhymes with nibbling, and Tyreek George. I don't know why I said that, but I don't know. It sounded funny to begin with. So there you go. And that is your look at the Everton Toffees. Now, of course, we are getting incredibly close to kickoff. And as a matter of fact, it has kicked off here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Apparently, we're about a minute 35 into this one. So I do apologize for that as I was waiting for this thing to start. But we are underway, and I can't stress this enough. It is do or die. It is win or go home, as Spurs will have the throw in off the left-sided touchline, as Udogie will play this one in. And now it's Matisse Tell who gets ahead. We'll play it forward to Conor Gallagher, and Gallagher gets some separation. And he still controls it, tries to play it forward, and that's good defense there by Everton. But Spurs will pick this one off. And now there's going to be a foul as Rodrigo Betancourt hits the turf, and it'll be Endai as the guilty party. So Spurs right now will have a free kick from a dangerous area. So here we go. Spurs have the first opportunity. To cash in on a set piece. As Pedro Porro will be taking this free kick here. Come on, lads. As João Pelini and Conor Gallagher and Mickey Van de Ven look to be setting up at the far post. I'm sure we'll see Richarlison make an inverted run to the near post. So as Pedro Porro is looking at his options, the arm goes up. And that ball gets played in. That's going to be headed all the way back. So by Tarkowski. So Spurs now will have the corner. As Porro was looking for Kevin Danso. As Pedro Porro delivered that one just a little bit over the head. So now it'll be Matisse Tell taking Spurs' first corner as we're about 3 minutes and 33 seconds into the first half. As this crowd looks to be absolutely rocking here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Of course, the pre-match we saw all the fans out there as this one will go in, headed forward by Richarlison, played back down as this one kicks back up into the air. As that one comes down right to Matisse Tell. Tell is going to get his back pocket pick. No foul. As now Endai is going to try to play this one through. There's the through ball, but right there is Destiny Udogie. And there will be a foul. As Matisse Tell or Destiny Udogie is on the ground. As that foul looks to be against Keenan Dewsbury Hall. So Udogie is grabbing the ankle as Endai did a pretty good job right there to strip the ball from Matisse Tell. As Tell grabs his ankle looking for a foul there as he didn't get it. And now Matisse Tell is kind of hobbling a little bit. As there's Roberto De Zerbi. Hopefully Spurs take advantage of the first 15 minutes. The goal here is to get the first goal, get the crowd into this thing, and from there build off of it. That's a good forward pass. There's a Charleston will play it off. Here comes Connor Gallagher now. Gallagher will hold up. Here's Jed Spence. He will lay this one off. Here's Porro. Porro's going to take a shot. That one's going to get deflected and out of play, so Spurs will have to throw in. So Spurs showing their attacking flair in the first 5 minutes. And yeah, Jed Spence has got the protection there for the jaw. That was broken by Liam Delap last week at Chelsea. And of course, I think one of the biggest worries for Spurs fans have is the how this game is going to be refereed, what role VAR will play as this one gets popped up from Pickford. Here's Connor Gallagher. He will have it. Oh, and Connor misses it. Just a little wide right of the post as that ball came right back down to Connor Gallagher. As Mickey Van de Ven headed it down, Connor Gallagher was able to corral it and just puts it into the side netting. A near miss 6 minutes in for Spurs. As this ball will get headed down, as João Palhinha will play it back to Kevin Danso, and Danso will pop this one forward. Falls to Richarlison, and now Everton will play it back to Jordan Pickford, and that is a quick transition for Everton as this one gets played all the way back to Pickford. And we'll see if Spurs are going to press the ball here. As now Connor Gallagher will try to shade up as this one will go all the way back down. As O'Brien will play it forward, and that's going to be taken away by Spurs as it gets played back to Tony Kinski. As this will get played out to Mickey Van de Ven. Back to Big Tony Kinski. And here's Kevin Danso. As that's a good ball forward. Looking for Connor Gallagher. Just played a little bit to the inside right there. And now this gets played back to Pickford. And so Everton now will try to play this one forward. Off the right-hand side. That's a good takeaway. Here's Jed Spence. Oh, he could have played it forward. Here's Pedro. There's a ball in. That's going to get played out. And Keenan Dewsbury Hall gives it away. Here's Pedro. Plays it back to João. As Spurs will play it back to Kevin Danso, and that's a good pass forward. Here's Gallagher. Gallagher trying to get around the corner. He does. That ball into the box will fall down to Mr. Dewsbury Hall, and now Barry just with a bad pass, and Spurs will get the ball right back. But here comes Everton now, trying to press the ball as it's Endai. Here's Destiny Udogie. That's a good cut in. Udogie trying to get around, tries to take a shot. That's going to get blocked, and Everton will clear it. As Kevin Danso heads it forward. That's a good play by João Palhinha to free up Pedro Porro. Now he's got some room off the right-hand side. Here's Jed the Spence. Tries to do a give and go. There's just nobody there. Here's Jed trying to get around the corner. He does. Jed. And there's a block. And Spurs will have another corner. Good attacking right there from Jed Spence. Spurs showing fight here in the first 10 minutes. As Matisse Tell will be taking the corner from the right side. near the weird flag. As we are getting set. Here's Tell's ball in. Headed it down. Oh, and Danso puts one well past the right side. But again, Spurs finding areas of space. As it looks like he actually hit somebody that was sitting on a stool, didn't he? That was a rocket. Yeah, it hit the dude sitting on the stool. There's Cootie Romero and Dejan Kulusevski. Cootie obviously was spotted in Argentina this week, as he says that he was down there in Argentina to get treatment ahead of the World Cup. Other reports would suggest that he went down there to watch his boyhood club in a cup match against River Plate. Either way, not exactly the best look for Spurs captain, but he is here nonetheless in North London as Everton has possession. It looks like there may be a whistle. As maybe looks like maybe Garner there took a pretty hard shot right there. So this is the first opportunity for Everton here, as both Garner and Keenan Dewsbury Hall will be standing over this free kick. And Spurs need to be turned on here defensively. There's a ball in, but right to Tony Kinski. Easy peasy for Big Tony, as this one gets played out to Kevin Danso. And here's Pedro Porro. He's got space in front of him. Porro now will play this one forward, as it falls right to João Palhinha, who's going to play this one over to Udoji. Here's Matisse Tell off the left-hand side, guarded pretty well by O'Brien. As this ball now will go back as Spurs try to reset. It's Kevin Danso. As Everton is doing a pretty good job here, as they're not really giving Spurs quite the space that they need. That's a good turn for Matisse Tell, who will still continue to have the ball. And there's going to be a foul right there. That's a yellow card against O'Brien, so Spurs will have a free kick. As we are keeping close eye today on the West Ham Leeds match, as that one's in the 13th minute, still 0-0. So Spurs will have the free kick again from a dangerous area off the left-hand side, as we are approaching the 13th minute here in the first half, as Pedro Porro again will be standing over this one, as Mickey Van de Ven and Kevin Danso. As it looks like Seamus Coleman is having a go at some of the Spurs fans, as this ball will go in, headed down. Oh, and João Palhinha puts one over the crossbar. Oh, that one fell perfectly to João. That just wasn't a good angle for João Palhinha. Maybe a bit nervy, I don't know, but I can't imagine that. This team did play in a cup final last year. These guys understand big moments. Same thing with a guy like João Palhinha, as Pickford will play this long. As that'll come down, and there's going to be a whistle, as Spurs will take possession. As Betancourt now will play this off to the right side. It's Pedro Porro as this gets played. So Spurs stay up with a win and a West Ham loss, but also if Spurs draw, they would likely stay up because of goal differential. More avenues for Spurs safety than not as this ball goes in. It'll find its way to the left, and there's Matisse Tell. Here's Tell trying to attack, lays it off to Polina, as that one will get played in, but it'll take a deflection. Here's Destiny Udogie. Off to Matisse Tell off the left, as it is 1v2 with O'Brien. He's going to have to lay this one back. And again, Matisse Tell against O'Brien. He's going to cut in. Matisse plays one in. That's going to get headed out. Good idea by Matisse Tell. But there's João Polina again. And now here's Jed Spence. And there's going to be a whistle because it looks like that ball touched Jed Spence's hand. As we're getting ready to resume this one here. As Pickford now is going to have to shoot this off to the right-hand side. Here's O'Brien. As this one is a turnover. Here's Matisse Tell as he lays this one back. He was looking forward. As Betancourt will play it back to VDB. As Polina plays it forward. As this one is going to be a whistle here. And again, this will go against O'Brien. So Spurs getting the early whistle here. And yeah, he stepped on Matisse Tell's foot. As play is resumed with Spurs in possession as we are 16 minutes in. About to hit the 17th minute. Here's VDV. And it's Polina as he's got to play this back. And now, yes, Everton is actually trying to pressure the ball here as Big Tony Kinski will play this one long down the right-hand side, headed forward. Nearly taken away by Richarlison as that one gets played to Pickford, who will shoot this down the pitch. Running is VDV. And VDV will play it forward. Here's João. Lays it off to Tell. There's a forward pass as Polina gets tripped up. As that Everton will play it long. And now Udogie will play it forward as Tell has to play it back. As Everton has done a good job of pinning Spurs back at the moment. And here's Tony Kinski who shoots it out. And he finds it open, Pedro Porro. And why did you stop and turn, Pedro? Here's Matisse Tell. Good Lord. He had sunlight. Sometimes I just think that, the first initial reaction is to look backwards. It just bugs the shit out of me. Here's Kevin Danso. As VDV will walk it forward. Here's Polina. Gets around. Cuts in. There's a deflection, but Polina will get it. And there's a whistle. As Roll is the guilty party here. So Spurs will have the free kick now. As play is resumed. As Kevin Danso plays it back to VDV. as that one's going to be taken away. Here's Roll. Good play by Van de Ven. And they're going to say Van de Ven's the guilty party, as that whistle will go against Spurs, as Van de Ven is currently down on the ground. As we see it again, Van de Ven came in for the challenge, and it does look like Roll did catch VDV quite hard on the shin, as he is down. And he's in pain now. As we see it again. Yeah, it looks like his spikes caught him. That did look like a clean challenge, though. As it looks like the side judge here is talking this over to Roberto De Zerbi, saying, hey, listen, you understand how this goes. You are Tottenham. You don't get any of the calls. Don't you know how this works by now? As play is about to resume with Everton with a free kick in a dangerous area. Spurs have to stay engaged here. There's a ball that's going to go in, headed back and out of play, as it looks like Tarkovsky got a piece of that one. So Spurs will have the goal kick here, as Spurs will play from out of the back. There's David Moyes, the Scottish coaching legend, as this one gets headed down. Played back up, and it looks like it's going to find Endai. That's a great play by João Palhinha to take it away. Great defense right there by João. Here's Pedro Porro now. As Spurs are looking for a way out of their end. Of course, David Moyes will be a very big. He will always be a big fan, except for the words that he was saying about Spurs this week. He has been known to give American players. Here's a ball in to Jed Spence. There's a shot at Pickford. Will make an initial stave. Here's Udogie. Here's Tell. As this one bounces around, it's going to be Betancourt. Here's Palhinha. Palhinha. Oh, I thought he was going to take a shot here. As he plays out to Udogie. He's got Matisse Tell, who he finds. Here's Tell trying to get around the corner as he's bumped by Tarkovsky. As that was a very good through ball right here, as Jed Spence did beat his man around the corner. And it looked like he had Richarlison as he was looking for Richie, as Pickford got a hand on it. Great play by Jed Spence, as it looks like we're going to hit the first water break here. As Sir Sexy 9, that's an interesting name. Here in the TikTok live, says, "Come on, you Spurs! It's good to see you, Mr. 9." So we are, about 24 minutes into this thing, as Spurs and Everton still knotted at 0. Spurs have definitely been on the front foot in this one throughout the first half. Everton really hasn't really shown much outside of a few set pieces that they were able to get. Spurs have been the team on the front foot. As just for you guys, as we keep update, Leeds and West Ham are in the 25th minute, and that is still 0-0. 0-0. As we are at the water break here. Spurs have been the team, have been the more dominant front-footed team. They have been knocking on the door. And you get the impression that they're going to be the team to strike first, as they have so far in this one held 73% of the possession, and they also have double the passes so far through the first 20 minutes. And it's just going to be just a moment before Spurs will score, because they have been the aggressing team. They have been the one that have had the better movement in this one. So we are about ready to start this thing off, and here we go. As Jordan Pickford will play this one long. As Danso will head it down. Here's Rodrigo Betancourt, plays it forward. Here's Richarlison. As Richarlison nearly has it taken away as it popped out and found João Plini, and now they do take it away. It's Garner. Here's Garner now. Finds Roll on the right-hand side. Heavy touch, but he's able to play it back to O'Brien. As Tarkowski will play it around now. As Chet Spence nearly had that one, had a takeaway there. As Pickford now will play it back to O'Brien. As there's the switch to the left-hand side. As they find Keenan Dewsbury Hall. Marked 1v1 against Kevin Danso, and there's a good play right there by Pedro Porro as that one pops out, and so now Everton will have a throw-in. Deep off the right-hand side as Mikolenko will take the throw-in here for Everton. As it looks like this might be the long throw-in. Nope, it's the short kind, as Ndai will play it back to Mikolenko. There's a ball into the box, headed away by Gallagher. As O'Brien now will dribble forward, lays it off. Here's Mikolenko. Finds Ndai. As Ndai turns to move up, lays it off. Mikolenko plays one in, and there's João Plini to head it out. As Conor Gallagher tried to head it, as Richarlison didn't move up to make a play on it. So Everton will still hold possession. There's a hard touch right there by Roll. And now it's taken away. Here comes Spurs. It's Matisse Tell dribbling forward against Roll, and that one will go out of play. Yeah, that one went out of play, my guy. So this will be an Everton throw-in here. As James Maddison gets warmed up along the touchline there, as he is notably celebrated from the supporters. As Mickey Van de Ven will head it forward, drops down, touch forward by Udogie, and there's O'Brien to shoot it into the air. Danso will head it forward, down to Jed Spence. Oh, he had a breaking Pedro Porro. Oh, Jed didn't find it. Meanwhile, here's Van de Ven now. As Richarlison will try to pop this one up. As Matisse Tell had it taken away. Shoots forward to Barry. Covered by VDV. As he lays this one off, that's a good tip away. Here comes Spurs now. As Richarlison gets driven down to the turf. by Irigabom. I can't pronounce his last name. That guy. Irogbom Bunam. Irog Bunam. Okay, there you go. I'm sure I'm butchering his last name, but anyways, he's the guilty party as Spurs will restart here as Udoji plays it back. As we're approaching the 30th minute now here in the first half, 15 minutes do remain. As this one is going to take a deflection off of Mikolenko and out of bounds. So Spurs will have the throw in as he was looking forward to Conor Gallagher, as this one will get played back as Van de Ven will find Zhao. Palinha, baby, as it's Mickey Van de Ven now. Yeah, Spurs have to find a way in here. Here's Betancourt as he plays this one back. Here we go. Betancourt finds Udoji. And there's going to be a whistle as play resumes. Here's Gallagher as this one gets played out to Tell off the left-hand side as he lays this one back. And Spurs will try again here as they shift to the right-hand side. And Danso now. Here's Jed Spence. Spence. Oh, you got to play one in as that one's going to be tipped away. As Sir Nine says, I wish they didn't rush free kicks every time. Yeah, I kind of feel you. Spurs have a contingency of former players watching on today. As play resumes, as there's going to be a ball forward, as Barry will head this one down. And somehow Everton will hold possession. Here's Dewsbury Hall. As this one will take a deflection as it finds Jed Spence. As that gets popped away. As Jed Spence has to play this one forward now. As it does. Here's João Palinha. As that one is taken away again. So Everton will hold possession here. Here's Ndai. Make a nice little turn right there. Ndai in the box as that gets tipped away. And they're going to say corner. As Ndai was looking for a penalty. I don't think he was going to get it. That was a good challenge from behind. As this one will go for a corner as Everton. Spurs were actually lucky that didn't end up with a shot on net. So now Everton will have the corner. It'll be Keenan Dewsbury Hall. You know what I say? Never trust a man with a hyphen in his last name. Here's service. It goes in. Headed down as Jed Spence will be there. As Jed will play it forward. And right there is Mikolenko to play it all the way back to Jordan Pickford. As Pickford will play this one forward. And that one gets headed out, so Spurs will have the throw-in. As we are now in the 33rd minute here in the first half. Spurs have held a bulk of the possession, but they still really haven't gotten any quality shots in. As that one will fall down. As Betancourt will pop it up. Finally, it comes down to Destiny Udoji, who plays it forward, but right there at Garner. As Spurs take this one away, here comes Here comes the counter. As that one will go out and Spurs will have a corner as João Palhinha decided to take a rip at it. But it will take a deflection as Dewsbury Hall is down. As that shot was deflected off of Irabunum, as Dewsbury Hall still remains down, as it didn't look like it was anything serious. As that was a clean challenge. So Spurs will have the corner here as Pedro Porro will be taking this corner. Can Spurs cash in here as we're approaching the 35th minute? That ball will go in. Headed down by Kevin Danso, but right there is Jordan Pickford. As we see it again, Danso got there, and it looked like it took a deflection off of Richarlison. Yeah, it did. As Everton now will have the free kick, and it'll be Jordan Pickford. So we are 10 minutes to halftime now, as Spurs would like to cash in here before the end of the first half, get some momentum going into the half. So Pickford now will play this long. Right there is Udogie, as that gets headed down, but it finds Roll. As Garner will play this one in, but there's actually it was Dewsbury Hall, but right there was Tony Kinski. As Danso will play this one in. Headed forward, finds Richarlison. Nearly taken away, but Spurs will hold possession. It's going to be Destiny. Plays it forward. Here's Matisse. Lays it back out to Gallagher, and here's João again. Here's Conor Gallagher. Does find Betancourt. He's got some space. Here's Tell. As that was nearly taken away. Here's Betancourt now, as Spurs are just not doing anything with the ball. Come on, lads, be brave. Victory rewards bravery as that one is taken away. Here's Barry now. And it's going to be Endai. As there's a ball that's going to go in. It's going to take a deflection. And here's Betancourt. As Gallagher will play it off to the right. As Porro now is going to send one long. Trying to find Jed Spence as he beats his man. But that one gets played back to Jordan Pickford. As it finds its way to O'Brien. And that one will go out. Taking chances and bravery usually get rewarded in victory. Spurs need to do a little bit more of that. And I think they're on that play right there. I think Richarlison got whistled for a foul there. As Pickford now will have the free kick here. Off the right-hand side. As Pickford will play this long. As that goes down the right-hand side, headed forward. Right there is Destiny Udogie. As Endai. and Udogie battled for this one, but it comes down. Played forward, kept in by Garner, taken away by Matisse Tell. And now Tell will shift to the right-hand side. It's going to be Pedro Porro. He's got acres of space as he dribbles in. Does find Jed Spence as Spence stops. Lays it off to Porro. Here's Gallagher. Back to Porro. Porro's going to play one in. Here's Tell. Tell shoots. Ooh, that's going to take a header away. Good defense by Everton. But it gets headed forward to Matisse Tell now. 1v1. And he's going to lay this one off. Here's Betancourt now. Betancourt will play this one around. Does find Pedro. Pedro plays one in. That's going to take a deflection out. Spurs have the throw in. As we are now pushing the 40th minute. As Spurs still hold 67% of the possession. But again, we haven't seen Spurs play one in deep. No shots on goal of the 11 that the Spurs have taken so far. And here we are, 40th minute, 5 to the whistle, as Kevin Danso will play one in. That's going to be headed down. It'll find Udogie. Here's Connor G. G money, as that one will take a deflection. And yeah, there's going to be a whistle there against Roll, so Spurs will have a free kick. As Roll definitely pushed G Money in the back here. Not exactly the type of foul you want to give Spurs here as we're closing down the first half. As Pedro Porro will again be taking this free kick. As Pedro Porro is looking. There's the arm. And there's the ball. As Pickford will punch it out. Jed Spence will head it forward. As Betancourt will head it backwards, and it'll find Jed Spence. As play resumes, Spence will play one in, head it up, as Richarlison will track it down. Here's Richarlison. And that's a nifty play right there, as Richarlison will play it off. Keenan Dewsbury Hall. So now Spurs will have a corner, and it'll be Matisse Tell taking this one, as this will be Spurs' fourth corner. As Nicholas Seabart says Wrexham will be joining the Prem at the end of next season. Very well could be. As Tell will play it back post, headed forward off the post. Oh, and it's in! It's in! João Palhinha. João Palhinha puts it in the 42nd minute as Spurs take a 1-0 lead. Of course it's João Palhinha. Of course it is. As Palhinha gets it over the line. And Spurs grab a lead. Nicholas says, I'm good luck. Okay. As João Palhinha shows the supporters some love. And yeah, 100% that ball gets over the line. As initially, João Palhinha hits one off the post, but gets his own rebound. And it was actually Jordan Pickford that actually tipped it over the line. Heads up play right there by João Palhinha as it goes in. And even if it didn't, Kevin Danso made sure the ball ends up in the back of the net. So Spurs grab the first shot here at the end of the first half. As of course it's João Palhinha, the set piece god. As that's his 5th goal of the season. As play resumes, Spurs cannot rest on their laurels. Yes, if the score holds, Spurs will be safe, but they need another. But also right now in the midst of pandemonium, they cannot give up anything here, as Everton will have the throw-in. This one goes in, and it gets headed away as Garner tries to put one on, and it goes wide. As we are now in the 45th minute. As 4 minutes of extra time will be awarded, as Spurs will have to redo the restart here. Okay. I think they're gonna. Are they gonna say this is okay? Here we go. As Spurs will start the restart. That pass goes to absolutely nowhere, and now all of a sudden Everton comes away with it. I don't understand why nobody went for that ball. That wasn't a bad pass. As Everton is going to try to push forward, as Callum Ritchie says, we technically only need a draw. That's true, but you want the 3 points. As there's a ball that's in. Good defense right there by Spurs. Here's Udoge. As Money G right here will play it out to Palhinha. As Money G now will play this one long. Headed forward. But right there is Matisse Tell, who will hold possession. Tell plays it off Udoge. Nice little flick right there by Udoge. And Matisse Tell's got real estate. Playing it forward to Udoge. Here's Udoge playing one in. That's going to take a deflection, as Mr. Pickford will corral this one. As we are now pushing the 47th minute, so a couple minutes left here in the first half. As Everton trails by 1. As Garner's going to have to play this one off, and it'll fall to O'Brien Potatoes. As here's Endai. And that's last touch by Endai. Good challenge right there by Rodrigo Betancourt. As it'll be Destiny Udoge. You don't know where I'm from, Udoge. Dog. As this one will get headed forward. As Palhinha will head it to himself, and now we'll put this one up. As making a race is Pedro Porro. There's Kevin Danso. He's going to play this one forward. And that one will be last touched by Spurs, as Mikolenko will have the throw-in. And there is Mr. Mismanagement himself, Johan Lang. As this one, I don't know what just happened here. Oh, it's down on the ground is Mikolenko. He's holding his head. He's holding his ankle. Pick, dude. Pick which one that's ailing you. As the Lewis family, as the Chris says, Udoji. As we are in the 48th minute. As there is the goal by João Palhinha. as Spurs do hold the advantage here. It says, "I knew you were never going down." Well, we still have 45, man. I'm not saying a thing until the final whistle. A lot of shithousery can happen in the next 45. I don't want to jinx it. I don't like to put my cart before the horses or count all my eggs before they hatch or whatever cliche you want to use. But as Mikolenko is walking gingerly, there you go, bud. You're fine. You're fine. Rub a little dirt on it and get back out there. Yeah. I don't know. I don't necessarily believe in that, as the Prem needs, the big money Spurs. As Pickford now will play this one forward, as that gets headed all the way down. And there's the half time, as Spurs will take a 1-0 lead into the half on a goal by João Palhinha. So Spurs are 45 minutes away. Spurs are 45 away from safety. And I would probably assume that Roberto De Zerbi is still going to continue letting his team know that they need that second goal. They can't just rest on their laurels and assume a 1-goal lead is going to be safe. They still have to continue for that, for the safety to be complete. Just a thought you don't have. Well, I don't necessarily think that it's really a conspiracy. Me personally, I think that if Spurs weren't playing up to scratch, and Everton was in the driver's seat, we go down. I just think that me personally, I don't like. Maybe you're right. I don't know. But he goes on to say, Adam 464 AD goes on to say, you need De Zerbi to say, yeah. And De Zerbi, by the way, I think came out just yesterday or the day before and said, regardless of the situation, he was going to stay with Spurs. Greg 1987 says, happy Sunday. Are you more nervous about today or that the midfield World Cup roster? No. I'm actually quite confident in both. I was never nervous coming into today. I just felt like Spurs were not going to allow themselves to lose today. And I still believe that. We have 45. But the other thing is that I'm not worried about the U.S. midfield either. Not taking Tessman was because Tessman's dealing with an injury. It's not because of anything other than that. And I still think that, come the first match of the World Cup, I think that midfield will be just fine. Let's see. He goes, if y'all both finish on 39 points, Spurs stay up on goal differential. K Plum, good to see you. Thoughts on Jed Spence getting called up for England? I think it's, here's the weird thing. I don't necessarily know if it's deserved, but he certainly fits in what Thomas Tuchel looks for. In a back, because he can play both on the left and the right side. And as you know, that England over the course of the last 5 years has had issues on the left-hand side. All right, so let's go ahead and look at stats for this first half. Spurs do lead the possession battle 66-34. They also lead the XG battle 0.87 to 0.16. Total shots on goal, Spurs 14, Everton 5. Shots on target, 1 for Spurs and 0 to Everton. Spurs have had 2 big chances to Everton's none, and Spurs have also missed one of those 2. Accurate passes, Spurs 199, Everton 91. And Spurs lead the corner battle 4-2. When you're looking a little bit into XG from open play, Spurs 0.14 to Everton's 0.08. When you talk about XG on set play, Spurs 0.73 to Everton's 0.08. So really, Spurs have done obviously their damage on the set piece plays. Let's see, total shots 14-5. Shots off target, Spurs had 7 to Everton's 2. Block shots, Spurs have blocked 6 to Everton's 3. Spurs have also hit the woodwork once. Shots inside the box 11-3 for Spurs, as well as shots outside the box 3-2. So Spurs have essentially played their entire first half in Everton's end. Total passes 225 to Spurs to Everton's 119. Passes in the own half 97-46 to Spurs. Passes in the opposition half 102-45. So it lets you know again where Spurs have played the majority of the first half. Accurate long balls are even at 8. Accurate crosses, Spurs 6, Everton 1. Throws 8-5 Spurs. Again, touches in the opposition box 21-5. So Spurs have done a very good job inside the Everton box. Neither team has been called for offsides. Discipline. Everton has 1 yellow card to Spurs 0. Nobody's drawn a red. Fouls committed, Everton 9, Spurs 7. Defensive side of the ball, Everton leads the tackle battle 13-9. Spurs do lead the interceptions 3-1. Everton has 5 blocks to Spurs' 3. Clearances 19-9 for Everton. Neither goalkeeper has made a save. On the duel front, it is even at 31, although Spurs do lead ground duels 22-21. Aerial duels 10-9 to Everton, and successful dribbles, Spurs lead that one 4-3. Oh, excuse me, 4-2. And currently, if you're looking at who's playing well right now, it would probably be the left-hand side for Spurs, with both Udogie, Polini, and Tell rated above a 7. Same thing with Rodrigo Betancourt. Not so much for the rest. But that being said, a lot of these guys had really not much to work with. And on the Everton side, nobody's really stood out that much. As we're looking around the Premier League, West Ham and Leeds go into the half 0-0. Let's see. Man City and Villa is currently in the 13th minute. That one is 0-0. Brighton and United. I believe Man United did take a lead. They do. They lead 2-0. Goals from Dogu and Mbemo. Let's see if I can get this thing to freaking update here. All right. Yeah, actually, here we go. Yeah, Man City leads Villa at the half 1-0. United leads Brighton 2-0 at the half. Fulham leads Newcastle 1-0 at the half. Liverpool and Brentford are even 0-0. Come on now. Update, sons of bitches. Actually, screw all this. Let's just do this. All right. Yeah, so here we go. Yeah, Man United leads 2-0. Wolves lead Burnley, currently 1-0 at the half, as Armstrong scored a penalty for Wolves. Arsenal leads Crystal Palace at the half 1-0, as Jesus scored in the 47th minute. I wonder how much PGML is helping Arsenal today. Again, Fulham leads Newcastle 1-0, as Diop scored in the 20th minute for the Cottagers. So let's go Fulham. Man City does lead Villa 1-0, as Antoine Semenyo scored in the 23rd minute, as this is probably going to be Pep Guardiola's last match at City. Forest are leading Bournemouth 1-0, and Morgan Gibbs-White scored, but I'm actually kind of pulling for the cherries here, as I'd like to see Bournemouth in Europe next year. Sunderland is leading Chelsea 1-0, as Trey Hume scored in the 25th minute for the Black Cats. So let's go Sunderland. And, of course, West Ham is even 0-0 with Leeds at the end of the half. So, again, very good first half for Spurs. I'm expecting I'm expecting not a lot of wholesale changes in the second half for Spurs. But again, this cannot be a situation where Spurs rest on their laurels. I've said this again. A 1-goal lead is never safety. Spurs are going to have to continue to press the tempo and get that second goal. They're going to have to even potentially look for a third. They have to make this match without a doubt. They have to take this one. They have to make sure that there's no doubt whatsoever. By the time that they hit that 70th and 80th minute, this thing has to be 2-0, 3-0. And they have to put Everton to the sword. Like if there was any match where Spurs would do that, this is the one. Remember now that we haven't seen that at all this season. Spurs really have never really put a team to the sword. Some people will say, early on in the season at City, or maybe even the first time around when these two teams met at the Hill Dickinson, where Spurs, I think, won that one 3-0. We had 2 set piece goals and then one by, I think it was Papsar. But really, yeah, that's not, I don't know, man. Like, I didn't necessarily consider that. Like, this is like that opportunity to put an exclamation point on their safety. And so it's going to be interesting to see exactly how, Roberto De Zerbi, the message that he gives to the team, and also the approach to the second half. Because again, one of the things that you don't want to see is Spurs all of a sudden feel like they've accomplished this one, and all of a sudden Everton finds like a pocket of space and puts one on, and all of a sudden we're tied 1-1. That intensity and that attention to detail has to carry over. So from that standpoint, this thing is not going to be safe until we get that second goal. But as of right now, I think Spurs have been the aggressor today. Let's see. Adam464 says, should Romero bother to even come back to the club? Well, here's the thing, man. And I said this morning on the Irish Hotspur, and it was Spurs had to have okayed him going. As a captain, your priorities are in North London. Your priorities are on the biggest game of the season for Spurs. It is not preparing for the World Cup, and you have time to prepare for the World Cup. It is not going to Argentina to watch your boyhood club. And if that was the case, yeah, I mean, you can easily question Christian Romero for doing that. But again, he had to ask permission in order to leave, and somebody gave him the okay. Now, was that Roberto De Zerbi? I doubt it. Was that somebody higher than him? Yeah, probably. And for me, that just kind of shows you the mismanagement that is going on with this club. Because what do you mean you want to go back to Argentina? No. You're the captain. Your priority is here with Spurs. As soon as this match is over and you want to go to Argentina, okay, cool. And yeah, that's exactly right. What message does that send to the young players? That they can do the exact same thing. That your captain is able to just come and go as he pleases. I think it sends a terrible message. But again, the fact that he was allowed to go in the first place, I mean, that just gives ammunition. Edgar, it looks like firm Doglow. I hope you got your name right. He says, would Richarlison get a shot on target? I hope so. Everton, I like the fact that he's going up against his former team. I really do. And yeah, I hope he gets multiple opportunities, multiple bites at the apple to bury his former team. That would be absolutely awesome. I predicted I had a 3-0 win with Richarlison scoring 2 goals. Why not? And I hope Richarlison does that. And by the way, I'm absolutely gutted for him because he didn't make the Brazil World Cup squad. I didn't know if he would or not, just because of the season that Spurs found themselves in. But I kind of thought that maybe he would. But yeah, I'm absolutely gutted for him. Let's see. Adam says it's a symptom of how bad Spurs are currently being run. 100%, 100%. And I will say this, because we're going to get into it as the offseason progresses, but Spurs were fine and they were stable under Daniel Levy. And whether you liked it or not, Daniel Levy had gotten the club to a financial behemoth. Essentially, he had consolidated at the Premier League and got the club to a point where even in a bad year, we would never finish below eighth. Now, granted, we weren't winning anything, but we also were never going to be put in the position to have these type of seasons. And then he turned the club over to Scott Munn, and he turned it over to Johan Lang. And slowly, brick by brick, that foundation that Spurs had gotten to had been eroded. And because of the transfer policy and because that Johan Lang absolutely does not know what he's doing, we have gotten to this point where now all of a sudden we're in a relegation battle. I mean, look at where we were 6 years ago in a Champions League final. And look at the quality that we had, not just in the 11, but also behind some of those starters, those guys that we can have come off the bench versus what we have now. And it's completely night and day. This club has replaced generational talent with guys who came from teams that have been relegated. And it's night and day. And it is something that is inexcusable. And regardless of what happens today, there has to be accountability. They let Scott Munn walk, and now it's time for Johan Lang to walk. Because let's be perfectly honest, it's his transfer strategy that has gotten this club to where it is, and he cannot survive. Under no circumstances can Johan Lang survive. If you want to keep Vinny Van Contesham, okay, fine, whatever. But he is just on the business side, not on the football side. And you need to leave the football people to people that have a history of building big clubs. Whoever ousted Levy without a plan should leave the club. Yeah, 100%. 100%. And they did it without a plan. That to me is the most shambolic thing, is the fact that they got themselves so emotional over it that they did it without a plan. And look at where this club is now. An absolute disgusting version of its former self. And to be honest with you, and I hate to say it, that if it happens, they have earned that relegation. I'm hoping that it doesn't, because I'd rather stay here. But if it does happen, yeah, they earned it. So we are getting ready for the start of the second half here at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the pride of North London. As the referees are getting their mics redid, I guess. As Spurs are 45 away from safety, as the job isn't done yet. As this crowd is absolutely electric right now. This crowd is just giving me goosebumps today. Yeah, you're exactly right. Like that should have been the attitude, right? That today has to be treated like the cup final, without a doubt, Adam. You're spot on. Super Milk now clears Fergie, Pep, Clock, Don Carlo, and Mo. Super Mike. I don't know what that is, man. Super Mike now clears Fergie Pep. Oh, Super Mikel. Oh yeah. Oh, whatever, dude. Get out of here with that. Mikel Arteta can't even hold the jockstrap of Fergie Pepperclop. As we were getting set here in North London. Get out of here with that. Yeah, he clears. Yeah, he won an FA Cup in his first year, and it took him 5 years to get to this point. Meanwhile, Fergie was winning doubles every single year. Put it this way, Mikel Arteta can't even hold the jockstrap of Arsene Wenger, as this ball will get played forward. Come back to me when Mikel Arteta has won the same amount of silverware as Arsene Wenger, and then maybe we can have that discussion. As this ball will get played forward, as it'll find João Palhinha, who skies it. As there's going to be a whistle, as this one will go against Mykolenko. As play resumes now, as this one will find its way to Mickey Van de Ven. As VDV will play this back over to Kevin Danso, as Pedro Porro is feeling the heat as this one gets played forward, as it'll find Money G. Gallagher in a little bit of a trouble. That's good defense right there. Oh, nice play by Jed Spence as he rips this one away, tries to get around, and it'll get out for a Spurs corner. Oh, they're actually going to say this is a goal? Oh, okay. As Spence got around, and yeah, I think this was last touch by Mykolenko. And what's crazy is the ref was right there. Yeah, it was last touch by Mykolenko. As this one gets headed down, as it finds Pedro Porro. Porro now will chip it forward. Has Jed Spence as he beats Mykolenko. Here's Jed Spence. As Money G will play it off of Spence. Now Spence will try to shoot, and there's Pickford. Oh, and he can't corral it, and this one does get out. Oh, Pickford's lucky. Well, because Spence has moments of brilliance like you're seeing right now. The fact that Spence can play both right and left back, and he can lock down some of the best wingers in England is why he got the call up. And because England just has had an issue with left back for like the last 5-6 years is the reason why he's got the call up. Brits like making fun of our phrase like trust the process, but they will understand. We know that. Yeah, like listen, man, I never question Brits' knowledge of football. I'll never question that, as that one will get headed away, but it will be kept in by João Palhinha. But let's be perfectly honest, right? Like right back was never really an issue. Left back has always been an issue, as that one will take a deflection again, so Spurs will have another corner. Like they tried, I remember what was it in what was Euro 2021, World Cup 2022, where I think they were trying to play a right back in that left back position. I could be wrong, but yeah, like they just never had that stability at the left back position. Oh, it's Nico O'Reilly. Okay, there you go. That's not bad. I like Nico. As Pedro Porro will play this one in. As this one goes to the back, headed forward by Richarlison. It will find João Palhinha, but that'll get kicked up. That's a pretty good call up too, Nico O'Reilly. Oh, G Money loses the ball. Here comes Everton. Yeah, there's going to be a foul against Vicky Van de Ven. What was it like? I'm trying to remember. Like I think it might have been. It was either Euro 2021 or it was World Cup 2022 where what's his ass, the manager. Why can't I think of his name anyway? Uh, he I think there was I think because of an injury or maybe it was inconsistency where he was playing a right back in the left back position. I can't remember which tournament it was. Who was the former head coach of England? That's going to get headed forward and right to Pedro Porro, who's going to clear it. Yeah, I can't. For like my my memory is escaping me. His name is right on the tip of my tongue. The former England manager, Gareth Southgate. There you go. But I will say that Southgate actually had England playing better than his predecessors. England was right there. But I also think English fans get a little way too emotional when it comes to uh, player selection as well too. Not that they're wrong, not that they're right or wrong. I just think that because England hasn't won a major trophy since '66, I think the patience obviously has worn thin as Udoji gets pulled down, and they're not going to give the whistle. Trust the process was coined by a 76ers GM. Yeah, you're probably right. But also, Thomas Tuchel was in the same boat as Mauricio Pochettino. Like when he got hired, he really didn't have that 4-year cycle. There's a good turnover right here. Here comes Matisse Tell. As Tell will have to play this one back. Tuchel had 18 months to really get to know the entire player pool. And don't get me wrong, it's night and day difference from the U.S. player pool. But that being said, it's like he has a style and a system in which he wants to play, and 18 months to figure out who is going to be good for that system, like which players are going to fit and play together and develop that chemistry throughout the tournament. And, he's there. He understands the data. He understands exactly what his eyes are telling him. And so from that standpoint, who am I to say that Thomas Tuchel got it wrong? It's the same thing with Pochettino in the U.S. Fans are going to say, he's out of touch or he doesn't understand what he's doing. But, I err on the side of the guy that's won a Champions League. As Everton now will have possession here, as one of the things Spurs cannot do here is get lulled into a false sense of security here. They still have to be aggressive. They cannot allow Everton to set up. As this one makes its way to Mikolenko, down to Endai. Off the left-hand side, 1v1. Do Spurs need a sporting director and head coach type of system? What would be interesting is this one is going to be picked off, but it falls right back to Everton. In Spurs' situation, I wouldn't have a problem if Roberto De Zerbi handled the transfer business. I always believe now. Granted, I guess it just depends on the temperament of a guy like Roberto De Zerbi and what or not he can handle that multiple responsibility. But I've always believed that a manager knows exactly the type of player that he needs. And so I would always err on the side of the manager to delegate, to make those decisions. And so it's weird, like, even though that we haven't really seen the traditional manager in English football in quite some time, for Spurs, at least for a season or two, I wouldn't have a problem if De Zerbi had that responsibility, at least to set the foundation of the team that he needs. And if they want to bring in a sporting director, then bring one in. But, under the current executive branch, as we've seen it right now, it has been a complete debacle. And, the way that, the reported, there's a report that Spurs are going to bring in another sporting director, one from Dortmund, who has ties to Vinny Venkatesham and Johan Lang. So and he's got a terrible track record. And you're kind of asking yourself, it's like, are they just hiring their friends? You know what I mean? Instead of actually hiring the guy that actually has a track record of success, you're going to bring in somebody that and how did that work with Thomas Frank? Yeah, like if they brought in Dougie Freedman, that would have been a very good hire that would have been a great hire for Spurs. Instead, they went off they're going after a guy that failed at Dortmund. As Spurs now, let's see, looks like the Spurs will have a throw in here, as we are now in the 58th minute. As Destiny Udoji dog, as this one gets headed forward, as Polinia, and there's going to be a foul, as it looks like G Money was pushed in the back. There's the Newcastle sporting director that left for Man United. Yeah, that's another one that that's a little sad. Newcastle was just in the Champions League a couple of years ago, and it's interesting how that Saudi connection didn't necessarily change the fortunes for Newcastle. But they were never considered. That's a good ball forward. Here's Udoji. He's going to play it in. Here's G Money. Heavy touch, and that's going to get out. And, the interesting thing, though, is that Newcastle, their revenue drivers just don't match that of Arsenal, Liverpool, Spurs, City, United. And so they're always going to be one step below, even with St. James's Park. And that's the thing. It's like your ability to generate revenue these days are going to separate you. And that also is going to allow you to have that turnover where you can spend on player salaries without it, without a PSR breach. And so they got to the very limits of it, to where they actually had to make some decisions where they couldn't keep Isak. And no disrespect to Nick Voltameda, but he's not Isak. As that one gets out, so it looks like Everton will have the throw in here. Yeah, it's a shame too, because I actually do like Newcastle structure, and I do like Eddie Howe, the last English manager to win a trophy. Prior to that, I think that might have been Harry Redknapp. So it's been a while since an English manager has won a trophy, as this one will go in, as that's going to get headed forward, as it'll drop to Pedro Porro. Nice little bop to clear it, but Everton will hold it. Yep, you're absolutely right. Non-football individuals. And also entrusting a guy that failed at West Ham to not fail at Spurs really kind of hurt this team. As here comes Destiny Udoji. He's got space. Udoji going to play it forward. Oh, that'll be held in. Udoji. Oh, and here comes Everton. As Matisse Tell couldn't get a handle on it. Here's Endai being hounded. And there's going to be a foul on Pedro Porro. You're absolutely right about that. Spurs entrusted their football department to people that were incompetent or didn't have any knowledge of football. And usually in today's football environment, your executive branch is split between the business side and the football side. And very rarely will you see an executive that is both good at the business and the football side. It's very rare. That's why they usually hire football people. Spurs, on the other hand, entrusted that the football decisions to a con artist. But it looks like Everton is set to make changes here. Looks like Brentford has equalized things against Liverpool. Burnley has equalized against Wolves. There you go. Villa leads City. Bournemouth has equalized against Forest. Sunderland leads 2-1 against Chelsea. So here we go. It looks like roll is coming off. Who does De Zerbi 100% keep from this squad? I would probably assume quite a bit, actually. I would think Vicario and Romero go. Who else? Maybe Richarlison, I would probably assume. And, of course, Colomwani's gone after this year. The question is, do they keep João Palhinha? I think they do. But they're going to have to add at least 8 players to this core. So play is resumed now. As Keenan Dewsbury Hall, that's a nice pass through traffic. As that's a good block by Pedro Porro as they were trying to get around the corner. As looks like George, the youngster, is coming in here. As looks like the fans are looking at the scores here. As they're glued to their phones. Well, Thomas Frank is no longer here. I think VDV likes playing for De Zerbi, so I actually think VDV probably stays. But the interesting thing is, if they keep Pedro Porro, I think Spence is going to want to leave. As this ball will go into the back post, headed forward and headed away. As this will be an Everton throw-in. As West Ham scores on a set piece, so it looks like West Ham is leading Leeds now in the second half. But Spurs do lead 1-0. And, of course, if things hold out, Spurs will stay up as Jed Spence will play this one forward. Held back in, but it will come down. It'll be Rodrigo Bentancur now, as he will play one forward. He's got Udoji, as Mikolenko will play this one back to Pickford, as Spurs have conceded a little too much possession here in the second half, as they need to keep on the front foot. They need that second goal here. Bergvall, Odebear, Batiste, Tell, Archie Gray, all those guys need to stay. As Pickford will play it out to the right. As Spurs will come away with this one. As Bentancur will play it forward. Here's VDV. As VDV will play this one back to Big Tony Kinski. Here's Betancourt now. To Palhinha. Finds Jed Spence. Tries to play it back to Palhinha. It's taken away by Keenan Dewsbury Hall. Oh, nice play right there by G Money to pick the back pocket. As Spurs now will have possession. Here's Betancourt now. As Pedro will play it all the way over to VDV. So Spurs have to get in their attacking frame of mind. As Udoji plays it out to Tell. As Tell is going to try to get around the corner on Garner. As that one will go out, Spurs will have the throw in. And they're going to say this was last touch by Matisse Tell. Here's hoping we see Madison before Kolomwani. I think we probably will. Is the goal get to back? Yeah, I would probably assume that probably is the goal. I'm sure with Roberto Zerbi, he wants to challenge for top honors within 3 years. As we are now in the 65th minute here in the second half, as Pickford will play this one long. Tip forward, and Everton will come away with it. As Spurs cannot just drop 10 behind the ball and expect to win this thing 1-0. They have to attack. Do I remember what Kulusevski looks like? He'll be ready to go in July. As Dewsbury Hall will take a block from Kevin Danso. So this will go out for an Everton corner. And again, Spurs cannot concede in this moment. As they have to get back on the front foot. They have to push the tempo here as they allowed Everton to creep back into the second half. As this ball gets played in. Back post. Tipped away by Kinski. And Everton will hold it. As this ball is going to take a deflection and out for an Everton throw-in. I do remember what Kulusevski looks like. Kulu. There he is. Natesky. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Yep, West Ham did indeed score. As Garner will take the we'll take the throw-in. As this one will be cleared. And it looks like Papsar is getting on his shoulder brace, ready to come in. As Everton, again, will control this with Keenan Dewsbury Hall. As this one gets passed out to the right. If Manchester United offer 80 for VDV, do you accept the bid? No. If you're going to sell VDV, you're not selling him in England. You're not going to have any. You're not going to have him come back to beat you. If you're going to sell VDV, you're doing it out of England. As Big Tony's going to have to play this one long. Watch Arsenal's trophy lift. Pass. Ooh. Spurs are trying to apply pressure to Pickford here. As this one gets played back to Pickford yet again. As this one gets played to the right. Here's Hendai. Nice play by Pedro Porro as he takes that away from Hendai. Here's G Money as Conor Gallagher will leave this one off for Betancourt, who plays it back instead of playing it forward. Good Lord, man. There you go. There you go. Here's Udoji, and Udoji plays it back. Get Bastoni. He needs to leave Syria after that game in Bosnia. Yeah, I don't know about that. As that's going to get headed forward as Richarlison's trying to play for it. But it will fall to Matisse Tell. Here comes Spurs now. He has the overlap with Udoji. Here's Tell, and Tell gets his pocket pick. God damn it, Matisse. You had the overlap. Here's Garner now. As Barry finds the half turn, finds Endai. Yeah, I'm good. I don't think don't get me wrong. It's not that I dislike Bastoni, but I'd rather take Christian. As this one will go in. And it's going to be taken away. And there's a whistle. Very rarely do we actually see trades. So Randall Kolo Muani is coming in. And so is Pap Sarr. So here comes Randall Kolo Money. Kolo Money. Let's see where he's going to get played. So Papstar is about to check in. And Kolo Money. Yeah, I know. Yeah, sell Romero. Again, you sell him outside. Sell him outside the Prem. Allow Luka Vucevic's career to start next season. So there will be a water break. Can Spurs hold on? We're in the 70th minute now. Spurs need that second goal. As, of course, Spurs goal came from João Palhinha off the corner in the first half towards the end of it. Dragovic, you mean Dragosin? He's on the bench. Rado. Yeah, Spurs desperately need that second goal to put this thing away. Desperately need that second goal. As it looks like Matisse Tell will come off for Pap Sarr. And it looks like Richarlison is going to come off for Randall Kolo Muani. So Muani will play up top. For Richarlison. And Pap Sarr now has come on for Matisse Tell. So we'll see exactly if the Spurs, we'll see what Spurs look like after these switches. Yeah, I agree with you, man. January signings are hit and miss. And for a while there, we thought Conor Gallagher was going to be a miss, but he's kind of rebounded quite nicely under Roberto De Zerbi. So this will be a free kick here for Spurs as we are now in the 73rd. As Spurs fans are getting a little nervy here. As of right now, if Spurs hang on, they will stay up. Here's G Money. As it looked like this will be a corner for Spurs. Good hustle play right there from Conor Gallagher. As we are now in the 74th. As Pedro Porro will take the corner here. Can we get the second? The second we'll put this game to bed. Spurs actually really needed another attacker in January, and that's why Gallagher by himself didn't look good. Here we go. Ball goes in as Kolo Muani will take it down to Sarr. Here's Kolo. Kolo's going to take a rip, and that goes over the crossbar. Kolo money. As Muani now will harass Pickford as this one goes out to the right, and now it will proceed to the right-hand touchline as Everton will try to find and die, and they do. As this one makes its way back to Jordan Pickford. Do we keep Kolo Muani permanently? Not at all. Not at all. After today, his services are done. There's a ball that's going to be taken away by Conor Gallagher, and there's a whistle right there against Barry on João Palhinha. As Spurs fans are collectively biting their nails. It's crunch time. It's nervy. It's nervy at the stadium. Yep, they did. They paid $80 million for him. Last year at Juventus, he was actually really good. And from what I hear, Juventus want him back. Here's Danso. Good play right there. There's the switch to the left-hand side. Not exactly the greatest switch, as that one gets headed back towards Pickford as he was looking for Destiny Udogie. As Pickford will play this one long. And that one will get out of play for a Spurs throw. And as we are now in the 76th minute now. Here's Pedro Porro. That's a good little. And he almost hit Jed Spence on the flick right there. Did Kolo money. But that's a good ball as he steps in front of it. Here's Jed Spence as he plays it to the middle. And that's a good play by Barry as he was able to pick the back pocket of Bentancur, as now Everton will come away with the ball here. Absolutely shoddy work right there from Rodrigo Bentancur. As Everton will try to attack here. Even if Spurs are only to get a draw on this one, they would stay up on goal difference. Here's George now off the left-hand side for Everton. He's going to try to play this one in, and it'll be Barry as this one is taken away. Last touch by Barry, so Spurs will have the throw-in. Should the handball rule be universal in all leagues? That would be helpful. Also, I would also like to see VAR taken away. Not a big fan of VAR. So this will be a throw-in for Spurs deep in their territory. Jed Spence tried to make a play, but Everton will come away with it. That's a nice play by Jed Spence. Here's Pedro Porro, and he's got to play this one down the line. And Kolo Muani gives up on it. As I think this one went out. So yeah, it'll be an Everton throw in here. As Mikolenko will have the throw in here. As this one will go all the way back to Big Tony Kinski. And Spurs now will try to play it down the left-hand side with Udogie. Here's Papsar as Rodrigo Bentancur will get a whistle here. The Premier League handball rule makes sense. Yeah, if it's enforced. As looks like James Maddison's coming on now for the final 10 minutes as play is resumed. As Spurs come away with this ball. Here's G Money playing it forward. He'll find Pap Sarr. Here's Pap. Finds Kolo Muani. That's a good ball in. Here's Jed Spence. Plays it off to Pap Sarr. Here's Pap. Dribbling in. Pap has got space. And Pap Sarr gets tripped up. And then the yellow card goes against Jed Spence. He gets tripped up in the box. He didn't. Oh, no, he didn't. Oh, okay, never mind. Never mind. As Pap Sarr gets the yellow for diving. The Mbemo basketball play was bad reffing. Okay. I would have to go back and look at it. So coming in now is James Maddison for Conor Gallagher. As Gallagher gets a nice round of applause. As we're in the 80th minute now. And coming off is Rodrigo Betancourt. And coming on is Archie Gray. So James Maddison will come in. As Maddison still. It was absolutely amazing that Maddison was able to come back this season at all. So young Archie Gray gets the last 10 minutes. Could Gallagher become a Spurs legend? How do you mean? As Everton now will have possession here as we start the last 10 minutes. Spurs lead by 1. As Kolo Muani tried to, maybe. But he actually has to do something to become a legend. As James Maddison will find this ball. As that takes a deflection, but right to Destiny Udogie. Here's Archie Gray. Udogie plays it forward. As this one will kick forward, and this gets played back to Jordan Pickford. And now Pickford's under duress. As Van de Ven will play it forward. Good play right there. Looks like by Mikolenko. As this one will go all the way down the left-hand side as Pedro Porro does a good job. As, is that Mikolenko? No, it's Garner. Oh, he's faking it. Yeah, okay, there you go. Look at Palace. West Ham leads 2-0 over Leeds in the 88th minute. As looks like Everton's making a triple switch as Beto is coming in for Everton. As Barry comes off. So Beto comes on with the last 10. As Spurs must get that second goal here. So Alcaraz comes on for Dewsbury Hall. And Seamus Coleman will come in for Irgabem. Yeah, I think it does. I think a draw keeps us up on goal differential. So Spurs have something to watch with Alcaraz. And potentially Beto, but this will be a free kick for Spurs. I think a win and a draw, a win or a draw keeps us up, regardless of what West Ham is doing. because we have the better goal differential. They have a negative 22. We have a negative 9. As Tony Kinski will play this one up. As that'll come all the way down. As Tarkowski will play it into Pickford. As this one's taken away, there's gonna be a whistle against Pedro Porro. 84th minute now. As Roberto De Zerbi's chirping at Jordan Pickford. As this one will go deep in. As this ball gets cleared. Running out is James Maddison. As Everton will hold possession here in Spurs half. Here's Ndai to Alcaraz now. As this one will move around to Mikolenko. Here's George now, 1v1 against Jed Spence. Here's Alcaraz. Plays one in. Tip forward. Oh, Tony Kinski got beat. But Spurs are lucky that this thing didn't get equalized. What a move right there to free George. But it was Mickey Van de Ven to stop that ball from going in. And it looks like something happened to Mickey. As there's going to be a whistle, and they're going to say this is going against Spurs for some reason. As he's giving João Palhinha a yellow card. Okay. Unreal. Okay. So the yellow card goes against João Palhinha. He gets dumped on his ass. Okay. Here we go. This thing will go down the left-hand side to George. Man marked pretty well. And that's going to take a deflection off of Jed Spence. So Everton will have the corner here. 87th minute, as Gardner will take the corner. As Spurs have to be on their P's and Q's here. As Garner will play this one in. Headed away. As it finds its way to Mikolenko. He's going to have to play this one. Out comes Sarr. Garner plays one in. Headed away. As it gets played back. And now this will go all the way back to Pickford now. As on the ground is Kevin Danso. It looks like he got spiked. Yeah, for sure. And by the way, PGMOL gifted Arsenal this season. The only team ever to never concede a penalty and to not get a red card. Give me a break. As we are now in the 88th minute now. Spurs clinging into a 1-goal lead. As that'll go out as Beto tried to make a move. As Danso is down. As I think he's dealing with something. I think he got poked in the eye. As Tarkowski. I don't know. I don't know about that one. This is the 89th minute now. They messed up our past title charge. Nah, that's true, I guess. But they also gifted Arsenal's title charge this year too. It's kind of interesting when Premier League officials come out and say that every 6 years they like to have a new name on the trophy. So it kind of lets you know exactly what their priorities were this year. So coming out now, it looks like Danso's coming out and Dragason's coming in. Oh, Jesus. Oh, actually, Udoji's coming out. Dragason's coming in. Oy. Well, I don't know about this one. Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's true. But so in comes Radu Dragasine. I don't know about this. But we're in the 90th minute now. Nine minutes of added time. Tony Kinski will play this one down and it'll go out of bounds. So Everton throwing. 9 added minutes. This is ridiculous. How did they get 9? I don't necessarily remember a lot of stoppages. As Danso will play this one forward. As this one will come down. As Garner plays it to Mikolenko. And there's going to be 2 players down. As Papsar and Alcaraz looks like they potentially butted heads. Eight minutes to safety. 8 minutes to safety for Spurs if they can cling to this 1-0 victory. West Ham has handled their business. As we're approaching the 92nd minute, as Papsar is down, and now he's getting back. Now he pops back up. As the Spurs brass watches on, you guys are just an absolute disaster. As Papsar now is going to walk off. And I think he's going to be fine. As now we're in the 93rd, play resumes. As he's got to stay off for a while. That ball is going to go over the crossbar. As that was a good opportunity right there for Everton. And Tony Kinski was right there, though. Nice job by Tony Kinski. As it looked like it was Keane that put one on for Everton. So this will be a goal kick for Big Tony. As that ball will go forward and out of play. So this will be a throw-in for Everton. The last thing you really want right here in that situation is for that ball to go out. As Papsar is back on the pitch now. As Dragasson will head this one out. So again, Everton will throw it in. And they're going to play this one back to Keane. Keane will switch to Tarkowski. And back to Keno. As George, looks like he bopped Pedro Porro, and Porro steps up and rips the ball away. Porro now will try to clear it. And now Papsar will do it. Racing is Colo. And that'll be Pickford. And Pickford quickly moves. As we are in the 94th, approaching the 95th, 4 minutes remain. As Danso now will clear it. And again, it goes to Pickford. Spurs have bunkered essentially this entire second half. As now Pickford will play it off to Mykolenko. And somehow Everton will hold it. Here's Endai. Plays it off. Back to Endai. There's a ball that's in. Headed forward, and that goes well out. As it looks like Alcaraz got on the end of it. Spurs are playing with fire here. As that was a good ball in right there. As Alcaraz went up, but it was directed well off target. As Roberto De Zerbi is getting his troops fired up in the South Stand. It's 96th minute. 3 minutes to play as this one will shoot down the right-hand side. As it'll find Kolo Muani down to Archie Gray. And Everton will come away with it. It's Alcaraz. As there's going to be a whistle against Alcaraz as João Palhinha will win that free kick for Spurs. As we are 2.5 minutes from the final whistle. 2.5 minutes to safety. As Tony Kinski now will take the free kick. '97th minute now. As Tony now will boot this one down. As this will go out. It'll be an Everton throw-in. Yeah, Yankee. Yeah, Yankee. As Pickford will play this long. Right there is Danso. And James Maddison will get whistled for a foul here. As Everton has to hurry up. Pickford will come. What made me a Tottenham fan? My brother's an Arsenal fan. That's what made me a Spurs fan. As Pickford will play it short now. Coming out to cover is Maddison. Redirected away as they play it off to the left. Here's George now, 1v1 against Porro. Cuts in, takes the shot. Oh, Tony Kinski. Oh, my God. Tony Kinski came up with a huge save. Oh, my God. George put one on as he cut in. What a save by Tony Kinski. Big Tony comes up large again. As here comes this one in. It's going to be cleared away by Danso. We are coming up to the 99th minute. 20 seconds remain. There's a ball that goes in. It goes all the way out to George. Covering is Jed Spence. Here's Alcaraz. Mykolenko now. Garner in, headed up and over. As we are in the 99th minute. As we're waiting for the final whistle. As the crowd is on their feet, Tony will play this one long. Kolo Muani heads it to himself as he will come away with this. Kolo Muani. As this gets played back to Kinski. Kinski plays it long. As play continues now, Everton. We'll move this over to Mikolenko. As this is probably going to be it for Everton. As they play this to the right now, Jed Spence will cover Endai. Ball in. And that'll go out. As we are in the 140. Oh, and Dragusin didn't clear it. Garner now plays it over. Spurs are going to try to press. And there it is. Spurs are safe. Spurs are safe. Spurs have avoided relegation on the final day of the season. A 1-0 victory at home over the Toffees. And Spurs are safe. As West Ham did win today, but they go down. As the relegation scrap is complete and Spurs will stay up in what has been just the worst season in Spurs history, but it came down to the final whistle, and Spurs will hold on. 1-0, 1-0 over Everton, and Spurs will be safe as West Ham gets to renew their rivalry with Millwall next season, as West Ham are relegated from the Premier League. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I didn't know about that one. Spurs, listen, they had to come out in the second half looking for that second goal, and they protected a 1-0 lead. Congratulations. And not only did they win, but they kept a clean sheet today, as Spurs are safe. Spurs are safe. Oh, man. I knew it. I knew it. I knew we would. Let's go ahead and take a look at the full-time stats, as Spurs and Everton will finish 50-50 when it comes to possession. Spurs do win the XG battle, 0.99 to 0.34 total shots. 20-10 Spurs, shots on target, only 2. And only 1 for Everton. Big chances, Spurs had 2, missed 1. Accurate passes, 317 to 313 to Spurs. Yellow cards, both had 2. Both teams had 7 corners. XG from open play, Spurs 0.19 to West Ham, to Everton's 0.18. XG on set play, Spurs 0.8 8-0 to Everton's 0.16. Let's see. Shots off target. Spurs 9, Everton 6. Block shots 9-3 Spurs. Spurs did hit the woodwork 1. Shots inside the box 15-8 Spurs, and of course shots outside the box 5-2 Spurs. Total passes, Everton actually won this one 377, 374. Passes in the own half 182, 131 Spurs. Passes in the opposition half 182, 136 Everton. Accurate long balls 13 14, 15 14 Spurs. Accurate crosses 9-7 Spurs. Throws Everton 18, Spurs 13. Touches in the opposition box 28-16 to Spurs. Discipline, both teams had 2 yellow cards. Fouls committed, Everton 18, Spurs 15. Defensively, tackles 21-20 Everton. Spurs did have 8 interceptions to Everton's 3. Everton had 8 blocks to Spurs 3. Clearances 34-29 to Spurs. Both teams had 1 save each. Spurs did win the duel battle 64-58. They also won ground duels 44-37. Everton did win aerials 21-20, and Spurs had 6 successful dribbles to 4. So, man, oh man, oh man. Spurs are safe. Spurs are safe, and I couldn't be more proud of this team. On the final day of the season, they had multiple chances to kill off West Ham. They had absolute multiple chances to kill off West Ham these last 5 weeks. They couldn't do it. It came down to the final match of the season, and they were finally able to get it over the line. Listen, this was never guaranteed, and I'm glad that we were able to handle the business today, man. LeBron James Jr., a.k.a. Bronny, asked, what are the changes you would do for next season? Listen, Spurs need at least eight new players through the door this summer, and they need an entire attacking 3 if they're going to push up the table next season. They're going to have to rethink how they want to play, because with Roberto De Zerbi, it is about being clinical, but it's also we also have to pass the ball, and we have to be far more clinical in the link up play. And so we're going to need a new striker. We're going to need a new left winger. Probably going to need a new right winger as well too. We're going to need an 8, and we're going to need a new left center back to compete with VDV. We're going to need a new left back to compete with Udoji. Probably a new keeper as well. We have a lot that needs to be improved on this team, and so there's going to be time for that discussion in the summer as well too. But as of right now, Spurs are safe. Spurs are safe. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Premier League today. Aston Villa goes out a winner over Pep Guardiola in his final match at Man City, 2-1, as Ollie Watkins scored a brace in the 46th and 61st minute, as Villa are winners on the last day of the season. Man United did beat Brighton today 3-0, as Patrick Dorgu, Brian Mbemo, and Bruno Fernandes all scored for United, as they are winners. That's a good win, I guess, for United, as they had a very good turnaround this season. Let's see. Fulham beats Newcastle today 2-0, as Issa Diop and Tom Kearney scored for Fulham today 2-0. Congratulations to the Cottagers. What else we got? Come on now. All of a sudden now, Jesus, come on now. Jesus. All right, hold on. All right. Obviously, we beat Everton. Brentford and Liverpool played to a 1-1 draw as Curtis Jones scored in the 57th minute for Liverpool and Kevin Shatta scored for Brentford. So that's nice for Brentford. Let's see. Burnley and Wolves finished 1-1 as Zion Fleming scored in the 46th minute. And Adam Armstrong scored in the 4th minute for Wolves. So Wolves in a relegation campaign comes away with at least that. Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth played to a 1-1 draw as Morgan Gibbs-White scored in the 33rd minute and Marcus Travanier scored in the 53rd for the Cherries. So good on the Cherries. West Ham did beat Leeds 3-0 as Valentin Castellano scored in the 66th, Jared Bowen in the 78th, and Callum Wilson in the 90 plus 3. But it wasn't enough as Spurs obviously relegated West Ham today. Sunderland beats Chelsea 2-1. Cole Palmer scored in the 55th minute, but Wesley Fofana gets a red card in the 61st as Trey Hume scored in the 21st, and Malo Gusto gave Sunderland an own goal in the 49th. So congratulations to the Black Cats of Sunderland as they beat Chelsea on the final day. They have had just a fantastic season in their first season back up. And Arsenal will beat Crystal Palace today 2-1 as Gabriel Jesus and Noni Madueke scored for Arsenal, and Jean-Philippe Mateta probably scored in his last game for Crystal Palace. And those are your results in the final table. The Gooners will finish in first on 85 points. City will clinch Champions League for next year on 78. Manchester United will finish on 71. They'll be in the Champions League next year. Villa on 65 points. They'll be in the Champions League next year. And Liverpool finishes in 5th place on 60 points. It looks like they'll be in the Champions League next year as well, too. Bournemouth and Sunderland will finish in the Europa League spots in 6th and 7th place. So congratulations to both Bournemouth and Sunderland on European play next year. They've had phenomenal seasons. And congratulations to the Cherries down there. I think this is their first European go-round. And Sunderland, it's been forever and a day since they've been in Europe. Congratulations to the Black Cats. Brighton will finish in 8th place and on a better goal differential than Brentford. So Brighton looks like they'll be in Conference League next year. Brentford finishes in 9th on 53. Chelsea finishes in 10th on 52, tied with Fulham on points, but Chelsea had the better goal differential. Newcastle and Everton will finish tied on 49 points, but Newcastle had the better goal differential, so they'll finish in 12th. Leeds are safe this year on 47 points. Congratulations. Palace finishes in 15th. Forest in 16th. Spurs in 17th on 41 points. And the relegation, West Ham will go down, Burnley go down, and Wolves will go down. So next year, we will welcome Coventry into the Premier League, Ipswich into the Premier League after a year down, and we will welcome Hull City into the Premier League next year. Congratulations to Hull City on their championship playoff final. That was actually an amazing contest as well, too. So that will wrap it up. But God damn it, man. Listen, here's what I will say about this season before I sign off. That number one, it was a mistake. In retrospect, if you catch Johan Lang and you catch Vinny Van Kintesham on an honest day, they will say that it was a mistake to appoint Thomas Frank. And one of the things that Spurs had going into the summer last year was they were coming off their Europa League, their Europa League run. And had they just stayed the course with Ange Postecoglou, and who knows exactly how that would have looked like at the Super Cup. But that being said, you probably would assume that these players would be motivated in that one to go out there and win that one. But that being said, it's like we come to find out that, yeah, these players were actually, willing to run through a brick wall for Ange Postecoglou, and who knows how the summer would have played out had they stayed the course. Now, would have Johan Lang been motivated to help out Ange Postecoglou, get him new pieces going into the Champions League? We have no idea. But one of the things that it was evident was the fact that because they went to such an extreme to go from an attacking coach to a very conservative, defensive coach, it just didn't play. And instead of being honest with themselves when it was obvious that these players could not adapt, and the season was slipping away, instead of making the change then, they allow it to go on. And then when you add in the fact that you had 2 straight windows where we were reactive instead of proactive, and especially in the January window, to not give this team a little bit help, to make the appointment of Igor Tudor instead of trying to bring in Roberto De Zerbi a little bit earlier, put this team in a position where they were so short on confidence that I didn't necessarily know if this was going to happen. But again, credit to Roberto De Zerbi for essentially pulling a miracle, keeping this team up. Yes, it came down to the last day. It should have been done and dusted against Leeds. It just didn't happen. Things happen. But what I will say is that, this season never should have happened. This season never should have happened. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm all about accountability. I really am. And what I will say is that now that we're up for next season, now that we've stayed up, it is time for the powers that be to rid the club of the cancer that got us into this place. It's time to rid this club of the cancer, and that means Johan Lang at the very least needs to go out. They've already did they already did their piece with Scott Munn, and now it's time to rid this club of Johan Lang. Apparently, they have a new sporting director coming in. Okay, great, that's fine. And now it's time to let go of Johan Lang. One of the things that my fear is that Roberto De Zerbi is not going to be back the way that he's supposed to be backed. And it makes no difference giving him all that money if you're not going to give him the players that are necessary in order to kick up the table. He plays a specific style, and it requires a specific skill set in the player. And I have no faith whatsoever that Johan Lang is going to be able to do it. And one of the things that cannot happen is another season like this. Under no circumstances can this happen. Okay, fine. We went through it. We're up. But under no circumstances can we have another season like this. Wholesale changes have to be made in the recruitment department. And it starts with Johan Lang being ousted. Period, point blank, full stop. I want Roberto De Zerbi to be successful, unlike Maurizio Pochettino at the end, unlike Jose Mourinho, who I still feel was like the best coach for this club at the right time, but he was not backed. Same thing with Conte. Same thing with Ange. Same thing really with Thomas Frank. There's only so many more years that we can spin our wheels as a club before either A, we eventually do go down, or we finally get it right and start kicking back up the table. But either way, wholesale changes have to be made, full stop, within the recruitment. And it starts with Johan Lang being relieved of his duties. This club doesn't need 2 sporting directors. It just needs one who is competent, that understands how to work with his head coach. That will give him the tools for the head coach to succeed, that will spend the money on the wages to be competitive with the Liverpools, with the Arsenals, with the Cities, with the Uniteds. We should be one of those clubs. We can be one of those clubs. But it starts and it ends with wholesale changes within the recruitment team. I'm glad we're safe. But wholesale changes have to be made. This club cannot continue down this road. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Looks like it's Machina Joe here. Well done, bro. I told you, Tierno. Yeah, he is. Nothing to worry about when you play. As Moyes keeps playing him, he didn't want to win. I can't wait till he gets sacked. 3 points from the last 21. Yeah, but let's be honest, right? Everton doesn't have quality either. He had to do what he had to do. If we had De Zerbi a lot earlier, we would have been safe. Yeah, I agree with that, Alex. I really would. But again, it just goes to show you the incompetence this club is being under and the mismanagement that allowed it to get this far. And if you're the Lewis family, heads have to roll. Heads have to roll. We got lucky this season. We absolutely got lucky, and we should thank the Premier League. We should thank the soccer gods that allow us to stay up. But that being said, this can never happen again. And the Lewis family has to step in and relieve Johan Lange of his duties. Period, point blank. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I will be back again on Tuesday as we will have a review of the World Cup roster released from Mauricio Pochettino. That will be on Tuesday. I will try to be back tomorrow to recap this season with Spurs. I'm going to reach out to a few people. Maybe we'll get a guest on. And so that's going to be a possibility for tomorrow. But I will be back on Tuesday. So please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Also hit the notification bells as well, too. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And I'm glad that today ended up the way that it was. I'm glad that it ended up the way that it did, that we are safe. And we don't have to worry about being in the championship next year. So congratulations congratulations to Spurs fans out there. I'm glad that we were able to come together today. I'm glad that we were able to show up and show out at the stadium today, backing these players for this 90 minutes. Man, you guys were brilliant. A lot of love to Spurs fans out there. A lot of love. And hopefully next season, we don't fight amongst each other and we back this club and we get back to where we're supposed to be at. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, man. This has been fun. Take care, guys. Have a great afternoon.